Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, October 12, 1971. Dean Martin has just finished his show. 2 hours of singing, jokes, charm. The audience loved it. Standing ovation. He's in his dressing room now, taking off his bow tie, pouring himself a drink. Not alcohol, apple juice. He never drank during shows despite what people thought. There's a knock on the door. Come in. The door opens. A man walks in. Expensive suit, dark, well-tailored, thick neck, cold eyes. He's alone, which is unusual. Men like this usually travel with entourage. Dean recognizes him immediately. Anthony Spilotro. They call him Tony the Ant. Not to his face. Never to his face. Tony runs Chicago outfit operations in Las Vegas. He's not just connected. He's a killer. Multiple murders. Suspected in dozens more. In 25 years, Joe Pesci will play a character based on him in Casino. That character will beat a man to death with a pen. That's not exaggeration. That's Tony. Dean Martin. Tony closes the door behind him, locks it. Dean doesn't react, just takes a sip of his apple juice. Tony. You know me. Everyone knows you. Tony smiles, not a warm smile. The kind of smile that says he's pleased you're afraid. Good. That makes this easier. Dean sits down, doesn't offer Tony a seat, doesn't ask what he wants, just waits. Tony walks around the dressing room, looking at the photos on the wall. Dean with Sinatra, Dean with Sammy, Dean with Joey Bishop, the Rat Pack in their prime. You got a nice life, Dean. Nice career, nice family, nice house in Beverly Hills. I do all right. You do better than all right. You're Dean Martin, king of cool. Everyone loves you. Dean waits. This is going somewhere. Men like Tony don't make social visits. Tony stops walking, turns to face Dean. I owe you. Dean raises an eyebrow. You don't owe me anything. Yeah, I do. 5 years ago, 1966. My brother Victor, he was sick, heart problem, bad. We took him to a hospital here in Vegas. They said he needed a specialist, a surgeon from Los Angeles, but the surgeon wasn't taking new patients. Months-long waiting list. Dean remembers, vaguely, someone had called him, asked if he knew any heart surgeons. Dean had made a phone call to a doctor he knew. Nothing major. Tony continues, you called Dr. Silverman, made Victor a priority. Surgery happened 3 weeks later instead of 6 months. Doctor said if we'd waited 6 months, Victor would be dead. You saved my brother's life. I made a phone call. That's all. That phone call saved his life, so I owe you, and I pay my debts. Dean sets down his glass, looks at Tony. Tony, you don't owe me anything. I was happy to help. That's not how it works. You helped me. Now I help you. That's the rule. That's how we operate. I don't operate that way. Tony laughs. Everyone operates that way. You just don't know it yet. So here's what I'm offering. I can do you a favor. Any favor. You need money? I got money. You need a problem solved? I solve problems. You got an enemy? Enemy disappears. Whatever you need. Just say it. Dean stands up, walks to the window, looks out at the Vegas Strip. Lights everywhere, neon paradise built on sand and bad decisions. He turns back to Tony. I don't need anything. Everyone needs something. I don't. Tony's smile fades. Dean, you're not understanding. This isn't a request. I'm offering you a favor. You refuse. That's disrespectful. That's insulting. You're insulting me. I'm not trying to insult you, Tony. I'm just being honest. I don't want your favor. Why not? Dean walks closer, looks Tony directly in the eyes, doesn't blink, doesn't look away. Because if I accept your favor, I become your man, forever. Every time you need something, I have to come. Every time you ask, I have to say yes. You'll own me, and I'm not for sale. Not to you, not to anyone. The room goes very quiet. Tony stares at Dean. Dean stares back. Most people would be terrified right now. Tony Spilotro has killed men for less than this, has beaten them to death with his bare hands, has buried them in the desert. Everyone knows this. But Dean doesn't look scared. He looks calm, resolute. Tony finally speaks. Nudging, do you know who I am? I know exactly who you are. Then you know I don't like being told no. I understand. but the answer is still no. You're refusing my favor. I'm thanking you for the offer and declining, respectfully. Tony takes a step closer. They're face to face now. Dean, you're making a mistake, a big mistake. People who refuse me don't do well in this town. Then I guess I don't do well, but I'm free, and I'd rather be free and struggling than owned and comfortable. Tony stares at him, long, hard, ridding him, trying to see if Dean is bluffing, if there's fear hiding underneath. There isn't. Dean means every word. Finally, Tony steps back. You're serious. I am. You'd rather have me as an enemy than accept one favor. I'd rather have you as neither. Not friend, not enemy, just two guys who exist in the same city and leave each other alone. Tony shakes his head, slow, disbelieving. You're either the bravest man I've ever met or the dumbest. Probably both. Tony walks to the door, unlocks it, opens it, stops, turns back. Dean, I respect what you just did. Not many men say no to me, almost nobody. You got balls, real balls, but you're also making your life harder. You understand that? I understand. All right, we're done here. Tony leaves. Door closes. Dean is alone. He pours another glass of apple juice, hand completely steady, no tremor, no fear. He just refused one of the most dangerous men in Las Vegas, and he did it calmly, politely, but firmly. Most people would call that crazy. Dean calls it freedom. The next morning, Dean's manager Herman calls him, frantic. Dean, what the hell did you do? What are you talking about? Tony Spilotro. I heard you refused him. Refused a favor. Are you insane? Do you know what he's capable of? I know.
Then why would you?
Because I don't want to owe him, Herman. Simple as that. Dean, this isn't simple. This is dangerous. Tony doesn't forget. He'll come back. He'll ask again. Or worse, he won't ask. He'll just take. Then I'll deal with it when it happens. Herman pauses. Then quieter. Frank is worried. Frank Sinatra, Dean's friend, fellow Rat Pack member. Frank has his own complicated history with men like Tony. Oh, Frank, I'm fine. He wants to smooth this over. He knows people. He can talk to Tony. Explain. No, I don't want Frank involved. This is between me and Tony. If Frank gets involved, then I owe Frank. And I don't want to owe anyone. Dean, you're being stubborn. I'm being consistent. Herman sighs, gives up. He knows Dean well enough to know when an argument is over. Dean hangs up, goes about his day, rehearses, eats lunch, takes a nap. Normal routine. He's not scared. He's just careful. 2 weeks pass. Nothing happens. Dean performs at Caesars, goes home, performs again. Normal life. Then, on October 28, 1971, Dean gets a delivery at his house in Beverly Hills. A package, expensive wrapping, Italian paper, gold ribbon. Dean opens it. Inside, a bottle of wine, Brunello di Montalcino, probably worth $5,000. There's a card. Dean, I still owe you, even if you don't want to accept it. This wine is from my family's region in Italy. Enjoy it. Mine, Tony. Dean looks at the bottle. Beautiful, expensive, rare. He calls his assistant. Send this back. Back where? What? To Tony Spilotro. Find out where he's staying. Send it back, unopened, with a note. Thank you, but I can't accept this. Nina's Dean. The assistant is confused but obeys. The bottle is returned. 3 days later, another delivery. This time, a custom suit, Italian tailoring, probably $10,000. Same note, you're a hard man to thank. Myrna's Tony. Dean sends it back. Same message, I can't accept this. This becomes a pattern. Every few weeks, Tony sends something, expensive gifts, wine, clothes, watches, jewelry. Dean sends everything back. By December, Tony's sent a dozen gifts. Dean's returned all of them. Frank Sinatra hears about this, calls Dean. Dean, what are you doing? Returning gifts. Why? Because I don't want to owe him. It's a gift, not a debt. With guys like Tony, gifts are debts. He's trying to create obligation. I'm refusing. Frank is quiet for a moment. Then, you know he's going to keep trying. Let him. Dean, this is weird. You're making this weird. Just accept a bottle of wine, be polite, move on. Can't do it, Frank. Why not? Because the wine leads to a dinner invitation. Dinner leads to a meeting. Meeting leads to a favor. Favor leads to another favor. And suddenly I'm Tony Spilotro's friend. And I don't want to be Tony Spilotro's friend. Frank sighs. You're the most stubborn man I know. I know. And you're going to piss off one of the most dangerous men in Vegas, probably. And you don't care. I care. But I care more about staying free. Frank can't argue with that. He understands. In his own way, he's made compromises with men like Tony. He's accepted favors, created obligations. He lives with that. But he respects Dean for choosing differently. Be careful, Dean. Always. The gifts keep coming. Every month, sometimes more. Tony's trying everything. Food, art, even offered to pay off Dean's mortgage once. Dean returns everything. By 1972, this has been going on for a year. Tony's sent probably $50,000 worth of gifts. Dean's returned all of it. Tony's associates don't understand. They ask him, boss, why do you keep trying? Dean's not accepting. Let it go. Tony, because he's the only man who ever said no to me. The only man who refused my help. That makes him special. And I respect that. So I'm going to keep offering. Not because I think he'll accept, but because I respect him enough to keep trying. But boss, he's insulting you. No, he's being honest. He doesn't want to owe me. That's not an insult. That's integrity. And integrity is rare. I can't be mad at a man for having what I don't. 1973, 2 years since Dean refused the original favor. The gifts have slowed down. Now Tony only sends something every few months. It's become a ritual, almost a joke between them. They occasionally see each other at restaurants. Vegas is a small town for people at their level. When they cross paths, they nod. Tony, Dean, polite, distant, respectful, but never friends, never obligated. One night, Dean is eating at Piero's Italian restaurant. Tony walks in with his crew, sees Dean, walks over. Dean Martin, you're looking good. Thanks, Tony. You too. I'm not here to bother you. Just wanted to say hello. Hello. Tony smiles. You ever going to accept one of my gifts? Probably not. Didn't think so, but I had to ask. I appreciate the thought. Always do. Tony nods, starts to walk away, then stops, turns back. Dean, can I ask you something? Sure. Why? Really? Why won't you take anything from me? Is it because you think I'm a bad man? Dean puts down his fork. Thinks, Tony, I don't judge you. You do what you do. That's your business. But I don't want to be in your business. I don't want to be connected to it. Not because I think you're bad, but because I want to stay separate. I want my life to be mine. Not influenced by anyone. Not you. Not Frank. Not the studios. Nobody. I just want to be free. Tony listens. Really listens. Then you know what, Dean? You're the only man in this town who's actually free. Everyone else is connected. Everyone owes someone. Everyone's got strings, but not you. You cut all the strings, even the ones people try to give you for free. That's the goal. It's lonely though, isn't it? Dean thinks, sometimes, but it's honest. Tony nods. I respect that. I don't understand it, but I respect it. He walks away, back to his table. Doesn't send anything to Dean's table, doesn't pay his check. Just leaves him alone. And that, somehow, is the greatest respect Tony can show. The years pass. 1973, 1974, 1975. Dean keeps performing. Tony keeps running operations. They exist in the same city but different worlds. Tony still sends an occasional gift, maybe twice a year now. Dean still returns them, but the ritual has changed. It's not about obligation anymore. It's about acknowledgement. Tony acknowledging Dean's independence. Dean acknowledging Tony's persistence. Neither man has won. Neither has lost. They've just found an equilibrium. 1976, New Year's Eve. Dean is performing at Caesar's Palace. Special show. Huge crowd. Backstage, before the show, a delivery arrives. From Tony. It's small this time. Not expensive. Just a simple Italian horn necklace. Cornicello. In Italian culture, it brings good luck. Protects against evil eye. The note says, "Dean, this isn't expensive, it's not a bribe, it's just tradition. For luck in the new year, you don't have to wear it. Just wanted you to have it." Tony, Dean looks at it, thinks, this is different. This isn't a $5,000 bottle of wine, it's a $5 necklace. Tony's not trying to obligate him, he's just being Italian, traditional. Then calls his assistant, "Don't send this back." "Really?" "Yeah, keep it, put it in my drawer." The assistant is shocked. "Boss, you're accepting a gift from Tony?" "No, I'm accepting a tradition from a fellow Italian. There's a difference." For the first time in 5 years, Dean keeps something Tony sent, but he doesn't wear it, doesn't display it, just keeps it in his desk drawer, a small acknowledgement that sometimes, very rarely, accepting something doesn't mean owing something. Tony never mentions it, never asks if Dean got it, never expects thanks. It's just given and kept, and that's enough. 1978. Dean's son Dean Paul is thriving, flying fighter jets for the California Air National Guard. Dean is proud, talks about him constantly. Tony hears about this through the grapevine. Vegas is full of gossip. One day, Tony's at March Air Force Base. Business, legitimate business, surprisingly. He's investing in some airplane parts company. Legal, above board. He's trying to diversify. While there, he sees Dean Paul, doesn't approach him, just watches from distance. Young pilot, confident, skilled, looks like his father. Tony makes a mental note, doesn't do anything, just files it away. 3 weeks later, Dean gets a call from March Air Force Base. The commander, "Mr. Martin, I wanted to inform you that your son has been nominated for a commendation. Exceptional service, excellent piloting. We're very proud of him." Dean is thrilled. "That's wonderful. Thank you for telling me. Of course, I should mention, the nomination came with a letter of recommendation from a civilian contractor, Anthony Spilotro. Do you know him?" Dean goes cold. "I know him. He wrote quite a detailed letter about military service and sacrifice. It was very moving, helped push the nomination through." Dean says nothing, just thanks the commander, hangs up. He understands immediately. Tony did this, quietly, without asking, without permission. He helped Dean Paul's career, not Dean's, Dean Paul's. It's smart, devious, because Dean can't return this, can't undo a commendation for his son, can't reject something that benefits Dean Paul without hurting him. Tony found the one thing Dean couldn't refuse, help for his child. Dean calls Tony, first time he's ever initiated contact. "Tony, it's Dean. Dean Martin. Been a while. You helped my son. The commendation." "Did I?" "You know you did." Tony is quiet for a moment. Then, "Dean, I didn't do it to obligate you. I did it because your son is a good pilot. He deserves recognition. I was at the base for business. I wrote a letter. That's all. You did it to get around me, to help someone I can't refuse help for. Maybe. Or maybe I did it because I respect you. And I respect your son. And sometimes helping isn't about debt. It's just about doing something good." Dean doesn't know what to say. Tony continues, "Dean, you've been refusing me for 7 years. 7 years. I get it. You don't want to owe me, fine. But I'm not helping your son to trap you. I'm helping him because he's worth helping, and because his father is a man I admire, even if that man drives me crazy." Dean is quiet for a long time. Then, "Thank you." "You're welcome, but this doesn't change anything between us." Tony laughs. "I didn't think it would. You're still going to refuse my gifts. I'm still going to send them. We're still going to be two stubborn Italians who respect each other from a distance." "Yeah, good. I wouldn't want it any other way." They hang up, both knowing that something small has shifted. Not much, but a little. Dean said thank you, first time ever, for something Tony did, not for Dean Paul, and that made all the difference. And 1981, 10 years since the original refusal. Tony's still in Vegas, still running operations, but he's older now, slower. The violence is catching up to him. Rivals are circling. FBI is investigating. He's at a restaurant one night. Dean walks in. Same restaurant. Coincidence. Vegas is full of them. Tony waves Dean over. Sit with me. Dean hesitates, then sits. First time they've sat at the same table in 10 years. Tony pours him a glass of wine. Dean doesn't refuse, just accepts. They're past that now. Dean, I want to tell you something. All right. You were right. About what? About not taking favors. About staying free. I've been thinking about it. All these years, you refused me. Refused everyone. And you're happier than anyone I know. You know why? Dean waits. Because you don't owe anyone anything. You're not waiting for someone to call in a favor. You're not worried about who you'll have to help next. You just live. And I'm jealous of that. Dean sips the wine. Tony, it's not too late. You could walk away, leave the life, start over. Tony laughs, bitter. Yeah, I could. Except I've made too many promises, too many deals, too many obligations. I'm trapped in my own web. Can't get out even if I wanted to. You could try. No, I couldn't. But I respect that you never got in the web in the first place. You saw the spider, and you walked away. That takes strength I don't have. They sit in silence, two men, different lives, different choices, but understanding each other. Tony raises his glass to Dean Martin, the freest man in Las Vegas. Dean raises his to Tony Spilotro, the most persistent man in Las Vegas. They drink, they finish dinner, they part ways. Still not friends, still not enemies, just two men who respect each other's choices. June 14th, 1986. Dean gets a call. Tony Spilotro and his brother Michael have disappeared. Last seen in Chicago. Their car was found abandoned. Dean knows what this means. Tony's been killed by his own people. It happens. The life catches up to everyone eventually. A week later, the bodies are found, buried in an Indiana cornfield. Beaten to death, tortured. Both brothers, buried alive. Dean hears the news, sits in his living room, quiet. That night, he opens his desk drawer, takes out the Italian horn necklace, the one Tony sent in 1976, the only gift Dean ever kept. He holds it, looks at it, thinks about the man who sent it, the man who tried for 15 years to give Dean something, anything, just to create connection, to show respect. And Dean refused, almost everything, because he knew the cost of acceptance, the cost of obligation, the cost of freedom. But Tony never stopped trying, never got angry, never retaliated, just kept offering, because in his world, that's what you did for people you respected. You helped them, whether they wanted it or not. The next day, Dean goes to a jewelry store, has the Italian horn put on a gold chain. Expensive, proper. He doesn't wear it, but he keeps it, in a special box, with other important things. Photos of his family, letters from his mother, mementos that matter. Tony Spilotro tried for 15 years to give Dean Martin something, and Dean refused it all. Except this, a $5 piece of tradition, a symbol of luck and protection. Tony's dead now, buried in a cornfield, killed by the same world he tried to pull Dean into. And Dean is alive, free, unobligated, unburdened, because he said no. For 15 years, he said no, and Tony respected him for it. Until the end. That's the story of the refused favor. Not a story of Dean being rude or Tony being dangerous, but a story of two men who understood something fundamental. True respect means accepting when someone says no, even if it takes 15 years to prove it. Dean Martin stayed free because he refused to be owned, even by kindness, even by generosity, even by a mobster who genuinely admired him. And Tony Spilotro kept offering because he respected that freedom, even knowing Dean would refuse, even knowing he'd never win, because the offering itself was the respect. They never became friends, never became enemies, just two men who understood each other across an unbridgeable distance. One man who chose freedom, one man who couldn't, and 15 years of gifts flowing one direction, then returning, then offered again, a ritual of respect performed in refusal. Tony's dead now, Dean's old, the ritual is over. But in Dean's desk in a special box sits a $5 Italian horn on a gold chain. The only thing Dean ever kept. Not because it was expensive, but because it wasn't. It was just tradition, given freely, without obligation, and sometimes, very rarely, you can accept something without owing something. But only if you've proven for 15 years that you can't be bought, can't be obligated, can't be owned. Dean proved it, Tony knew it, and that $5 necklace is the evidence. The freest man in Vegas, and the mobster who respected him for it for 15 years, until death. That's the story of the refused favor.